Holy metal, Batman! Let's learn how to drill and punch holes. So to put holes in metal, the most important thing is that you end up with the right size hole exactly where you want it to be. So the best way to start with that is by center punching where you want that hole to go. And we have another video that covers a variety of different center punches and everything. So let's say I just need to put a hole in the corner of this piece of brass here. So the center punch puts just a small little impression in the metal that will help guide the drill to stay in place and not walk over the surface of the metal. It's good to drill into a waste block like a bench pin or something like that. In this case, I'm going to start by using a flex shaft, which is just a foot-powered kind of Dremel tool. And I have the right size drill bit already placed in the flex shaft. And you want to make sure that you're holding on to the metal securely and that you have eye protection. In this case, I'm using an Optivisor to magnify and see best what I'm doing. Place the drill bit in that little impression that I center punched, holding securely onto the metal, ready with the foot pedal. And I also have the drill bit lubricated in advance. Start it off. And there, it's drilled through the metal. Now, without that center punch, just to show you, it may sort of like walk a little bit on the surface of the metal and not drill exactly where you want. So that's really why center punching is a great practice. Another way of being sure that your hole is perpendicular to your surface of the metal is by using a drill press, which comes in all different shapes and sizes. So we'll go on over here to the drill press. I'll center punch another little hole here. Okay, so using a drill press to drill holes is a great way of making sure that the drilled hole is perpendicular to the surface of the metal. In this particular model, it has a foot pedal that turns it on and off, just like the flex shaft or a sewing machine or something like that. The other difference with this is that the table, you actually crank up the table of it into the drill bit, so it's not moving in height. Now, to drill larger sizes of holes in metal, there's a couple things that you can do. One is the best thing to do is make sure that you have a pilot hole or a small hole already drilled, which will make the process go a lot more smoothly. It's very important that you have eye protection and you're able to get a secure grip on the metal because it can grab the metal and spin it around. So if you're not comfortable with the grip you can get on the piece, make sure that you're holding with pliers or something like that. I particularly like parallel jaw pliers that grip the metal uniformly on all surfaces of the pliers, and just in case it does slip, it's going to slip out of the pliers and not out of my hands. So in this case, I'm lining the hole that I'm going to drill up with the smaller hole that I've already drilled as a pilot hole. And there we go. Important thing to keep in mind with sizes of drill bits is if you want to get real technical on the machining side of it, there's speed and feed charts that tell you how much metal you're cutting through at a particular rate. The simple story is just with small size drill bits, you want to drill or rotate the drill bit as fast as you can. It actually cuts better. And as you increase in size of the drill bits, you want to slow your speed and feed down just a little bit there. So now that we have the hole drilled in the metal, sometimes there's a burr left from the bit if it's dull or depending on the material and things like that. And there's a couple things that we can do back at the bench pin there to eliminate that burr. One thing that you can do is you have a cheap little deburring tool that is just angled and has a couple different cutting surfaces, and just by hand you put it into the hole that you just drilled, just with a little bit of force, and that will remove that burr and kind of countersink, take that edge off of the hole, and that can just make it easier to handle, have things fit flatly together, things like that. Depending on the size, you can also use a deburring tool, and this works on the edges of metal as well as inside of holes, and you can just sort of pivot it around there, and that can also be used to remove the burr. And of course, you can use files to file it by hand. And a lot of times with needle files or a variety of other smaller tools, I love to use these pin vices to set different tools inside of them. With these smaller, more precise tools, I just want to drill a small little hole to show you some things there. So again, I will center punch, set on the bench pin, have my eye protection, keep the drill bit perpendicular, drill through the piece, and again there's that little burr there. So with smaller sizes that are too small for the deburring tool, you can actually just set a slightly oversized drill bit in the pin vise and then just use that by hand and just sort of rotate the drill bit there to deburr that hole. And if you're looking for precise fitting, something that you can do, there's these tools called reamers, and they come in sets like this of graduated sizes, and they're square in shape and have the cutting surfaces along their full length. So what you can do is, let's say you just need to enlarge this hole slightly, you can just have the reamer in a pin vise and just rotate it through until you have that slightly larger size that you might need to fit micro hardware in there or any other wire or something like that, depending on the piece that you need to do. There's one other way of main way of putting holes in metal that I like to use a lot, and that's with a punch. And so here we have a basic hand punch that has a variety of different sizes. So you can see here it has both a male and female die for punching those holes, and those variety of different sizes come with the set, and you can change those out as you need. And essentially you can just, I do like to center punch just to be putting the hole exactly where I want to go. There's a tiny little guide on the center of the punch there that you can position into where you center punch to make sure you're punching that hole exactly where you want. And then you just bring those together and just by hand, just squeeze them together and then pull it out to remove. And that'll just have just a small punched hole that, that works very nicely. So there's kind of just a range of different tools there, and it may seem really simple to just put holes in metal, but there's a variety of different tools and approaches that can really make that job a lot easier for you. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.